Hello, everyone. Welcome to Opinions New by Dr. Frank Tianshi. I'm Frank. Right? In this episode, let's keep talking about my story of being fired. Fired in America, part two of three times, part two of that. Okay. All right. The first time I was fired, from work was in Indiana, in a restaurant, Chinese restaurant in Indiana. Right? And now looking back in my personal history, if you look at that, it's actually something really beneficial to me. I learned my lessons. I learned a lot of things, really. At least from that time on, when I go to restaurant, Chinese restaurant, any restaurant to dine, to have dinner or meals in restaurants, I could become more understandable and more capable of understanding the situation, the hard work of the wait staff, right? Even if the attitude or the service not that good, I wouldn't become very upset. You know, I could at least think from their perspective. For example, if I go to a restaurant and see a girl, not doing a good job in serving the tables, I wouldn't be that upset. Maybe I would say I would think maybe, oh, maybe she's a student just like I was, and maybe she was under too much pressure from her professor or from the final exams. Okay, so but anyway, and that time, the first time I was fired from Chinese restaurant in America, and it's first time, but at least it's not really a very formal job, It's not formal job, right? It's not like a major formal company and it has nothing to do with my major field study, right? And the salary or wages is not that much. So I didn't really treat that as something too big. So it was painful. It hurts. It hurted, but it's hurtful. But after a few days, the pain is gone, right? But the second time I was fired in America, that was by a formal company in my profession. Now that feels something quite different. Okay, even though I didn't like chemistry, right? I didn't really get a degree, a doctorate degree in chemistry, but at least I took all the courses, right? I finished all the coursework, and worked in the restaurant. I mean, not restaurant. Sorry, worked in the labs, chemical lab, analytical chemistry lab for several years. And then that was in 1991. Right? At that time, and I don't know if you guys remember, something happened in 1989. What happened? The Chinese Communist government opened fire to those demonstrating students in Beijing's Tiananmen Square, and thousands of students were killed. Don't know exactly how many, but we know what I heard from someone, like an American guy who was in China back at that time. He said at least 3,000 students were killed. Right? So that's what the China government has been doing. And still now today, they're still persecuting Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghurs, underground Christians, pro-democracy, activists, all those kind of people. Yeah. Anyway, so because this the Tiananmen Square massacre, we were students, me included, we were able to stay in America. We could work there because before that we were on a J1 visa. J1 is kind of like exchange student visa. We're not supposed to stay here. We would have to go back to China after we graduate. But because of this incident, we got the blanket waiver. You know, an executive order issued by George Herbert Bush, senior Bush, President Bush, and he allowed us to stay. So that we're grateful. We're grateful to American people, American government, for this. Right. So therefore, we were able to stay here. And then I said, okay, let me find a job. Try to find a job using my knowledge in chemistry. And but I actually found one. Very soon. I was in 1992. I found my first job, a chemistry job. Right, wearing white lab coat. In a lab, and the company is called IT Corporation, International Technology Corporation, and it's in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Yep, you're right, in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and not too far from Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay? The company, is a lab. We're an analytical lab. We analyze, radionuclides, radio chemical isotopes, also like strontium, uranium, plutonium, tritium, things like that. Okay. Our parent company of the lab, parent company of ID Corporation, I think it's called the Nuclear Fuel Services, NFS, Nuclear Fuel Service, NFS, I believe, right? That's a company that provides nuclear fuels to our the aircraft carriers and nuclear submarines. Yeah. But we don't in our lab we don't produce those nuclear fuels. We just do radiochemical analysis to see if there's the pollution, like in those nuclear weapon sites, nuclear uh, power plants, etc., to see if the air, the water, and soil were contaminated. So we analyze that. Okay. So our job, I don't mean to brag. I don't like bragging, but we actually did a pretty good job. As a chemist or as a scientist, I think we did a really good job, right? And I have proof, right? Every year, the American EPA, Environmental Protection Agency of the federal government, they prepare lots of standard samples, right? Like soil samples. They mix something like some radioisotopes, radioactive materials with dirts, and mix them really well. They send it to hundreds of labs worldwide, okay? All those radiochemical labs, including us, right? All the labs will analyze the same thing, same thing from EPA or from EPA, right? We analyze and then we report the data. We don't know the true value, true concentration of the thing, but they know. So all the labs we analyze at the same time, we send the results back to EPA, and then the EPA will publish the results. So we know exactly where we are, because normally the results for anything should follow our normal distribution, the bell curve, normal distribution, right? With the true value of this concentration, let's say tritium or uranium or neptunium, right, in the center, right, in the center, right. And then more companies or more labs should have results close to that, close to the peak. There are fewer companies reporting data on result higher, much higher, and maybe fewer companies reporting data lower or much lower. So if you know where you are, then you know if you're good, right? Our results, at least my results, uranium, plutonium, tritium, strontium, and compare with the globally, our accuracy and precision are both pretty good, among the top. Okay. So that company, I enjoyed. That's my first job in America, and I like it. I really love it, like it, right? And I'm really like realizing my American dream. With this job, I was able to buy my first new car, a 1992 Toyota Camry, new car, like love it. Right? I actually drove that car for some 12 years, 220,000 miles. Put 220,000 miles on until it completely broke dead. It cost me more to fix it than it's worth. And also, I bought my second year of work. I bought my first house, in Tennessee, in Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay, not too far from the lab in Oak Ridge. And so life is good. American dream. It realized very beautifully. Everything is fine, right? The company is located. The lab is located in near Oak Ridge, not near Knoxville. Is the eastern part of Tennessee. The mountains are green, water is clean, very beautiful, very serene. Sometimes you drive on the road on the highways for half an hours. Don't see any cars. Sometimes I work. I work for a while for I work second shift. Build lab we run like around the clock, almost like I work the second shift, so I go there like get out of work, at night. You drive on the highway, not many traffic, and it's dark green forest, right? You see deers all the time. You see often times deers, appearing, next to the road. One of my colleague actually, and he hit a deer. He hit deer on the road, and the deer hit his car so much, so hard, his car was totaled. Of course, the deer was dead. His car was just totaled by that. So, but oftentimes I saw deers, standing next to the road, you know, or crossing the road. So I would just slow down or stop. You look at the deer. The deer looks at me. It's very interesting. Okay. And also the lab is not too far from a reservoir. It's a reservoir, and then during lunchtime I would go drive to the lake and sit next to the lake, and even my home in Tennessee, in Knoxville, Tennessee, it's not almost like on the ranch. You can see the forest, see the sunshine, sundown, very beautiful. So now the job is good, life is good, new house, newly bought house, new car, American dream being realized, right? You should have no regrets, right? But life is tough, right? It's hard, right? And it really, every one of us, if you think about that, we in your lifetime, you know, you would not have 3 days without any trouble. Think about that. All kind of trouble or conflict or discomfort or something not so smooth, right? There got to be something going on there that's not right, right? And if you look at our life, our past, I'm sure everyone is like that. Okay, and that's why many people, in our world today, no matter how successful you are, right, in the end, they all, you know, have chosen cultivation practice, right? Meditation, cultivation practice to go back to our true selves to find our true salvation. Okay, I'll talk more about this in another issue. Okay, so well, in this company, and I still remember how it ended, right? And that was a one Sunday afternoon. We actually work on Sunday afternoon there, right? And I'm sorry, it's a weekday afternoon. It's a regular weekday afternoon, right? And the leadership, asked us to gather in the dining room, right? For everyone, it's not too big. It's small. A lab. We have about I would say 40 people total. Right? The leader, the managers, and the lab director got us all in the dining room and said, the company is going to close. We have to cut our slash of employees big time. And lots of people, probably majority of people, were fired on that day. They only have a few people, staying to take care of the rest, to do the closing and everything. And then they would go after 2 months as also. We were all shocked. We had no clue this would come, this would happen. We were all, sitting in the dining room, all shocked. For me, I feel like, darn it, now this is America. This is capitalism. And right, you are fired, and I feel like, gee, what am I going to do with my mortgage and car loan? I have two loans on my back. I almost wanted to cry. Really, I truly wanted to cry because I feel like I've been doing a great job in science, right? And I've been very loyal to the company, and just like that, our jobs are gone. I feel like it's so wrong. Really want to cry. But anyway, that was in 1995, I think. Yeah. And then one of our managers, actually lab director, he actually helped me. He was very nice to me, and I'm grateful. I was grateful, right? He helped me and say, "Hey, go to this employment agency tomorrow next day, right? There will be a position for me." I said, "Okay, okay." Then I went there, right? What happened is actually, for the next 2 months, where they're closing the company, right? They still need to get some of the work done, right? But they cannot pay me the full salary, my old salary, but they will pay my salary, but no benefits. Okay? So nominally, I get the same amount of salary, but the vacation, retirement, 401k, all those things are gone, right? So basically, I got rehired by the company, by the lab, through this agency. So I was kind of like a contractor, like, for 2 months, right? And then worked for 2 months on that, and then the company shut its door, gone. Okay. Now, what are the lessons learned? Looking back, I think the it's not that easy to be managers or lab directors, the management. It's not easy job for them too. We were a small company where everyone gets along with each other well, everyone else very well. It's like a family, like, right? And for them, they have when they fire other people, lay them off, they got lots of blames, right? I mean, their jobs are gone too, right? I remember one guy, his name is Jim. I really like this guy. He's a very optimistic guy. I remember he drove a old model of BMW. We were asking him, we were laughing at him. I said, "Wait a minute, this car is still running?" I mean, he was old, so old, BMW and Beamer, and he runs great. But the things like that, for me, I was now too bad. I was in my, let's say, 1995, in my 30s, so I could still find a new job, right? For them, I know this lab directors, technical directors, they're doctors, they have PhDs. They are in the 50s, 60s, 50, 40, 50s, 60s. They have to find other jobs too. So some of them were really the original old people, the first group of employees when the company was first started. So the company went bankrupt. It's not because of technical reasons. It's not that we didn't do a good job in science, but it's because of what? Sales and marketing. They didn't have new contract, right? They have new job, new contract coming. Therefore, no money to run. So this is my second time being fired by a company, fired in America. Okay, and then I moved on to my next stop, Georgia. I'll talk to you about that in the next episode. See you next time. Bye, guys.